What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys haven't seen our last video, we did the top 5 reasons why the Lancer Evolution, the Evo, is the best tuner car. If you haven't seen that, go check it out in the link in the corner. Anyways, on today's video, I'm gonna let you guys know why I hesitated on buying a WRX STI. Let's go. Reason number 1, the EJ motor. Now, I'm not hating on the JDM EJ20 or the USDM EJ25, or even that they have used the EJ motor for over 20 years. I actually don't care about any of that. What I do care about is ringland failure.
What does that mean?
What is ringland failure, you ask? Let me briefly talk to you about how a 4-stroke motor works. So basically, the intake valve, so this is the piston. This is the piston. The intake valve opens while the piston is at top dead center. Intake valve opens, the piston and rod go down, drawing air into the cylinder. Intake valve closes, piston is at bottom dead center, piston comes up, spark plug and fuel ignite with compressed air, with the air that has been compressed. You have combustion, exhaust valve opens, and the piston travels downward. So that is your typical 4-stroke motor. With ringland failure, after the spark plug, fuel, and air get combusted, there is another detonation. So this additional detonation, so normally the first detonation pushes the piston straight down, but now you have an additional detonation that could detonate and cause this piston to either detonate on the side or move. Basically, 2 combustions are fighting with each other, causing the piston to potentially wobble inside the cylinder. Now, you guys have already seen tons of pictures of this. Basically, every Subaru owner that I know has experienced ringland failure. Why does ringland failure occur so often in these EJ motors? Well, anybody looking to buy a Subaru WRX STI is usually an enthusiast. They probably enjoy spirited driving, flooring their vehicles, launching their cars, doing donuts. Hell, I do that too. But surprisingly, Subaru engines were not tuned that way. The EJ motor was not built to take a heavy load at lower RPMs. So when you're trying to floor the car and you're not in the correct RPM, your air-fuel ratio, basically what we talked about before, the air coming into the car, the fuel, the ignition, has not been properly tuned for heavy loads at low RPMs. And Subaru should know this. It's been 20 years that they've been using the same damn motor. This is a tuner car. The Subaru, the WRX STI is a tuner car. Subaru should know better and put forged pistons, forged rods into the car. into the motor. Instead, they're using cast aluminum pistons that crack under pressure, that crack and warp under high temperature. Reason number 2, and this one really bothers me. Anybody looking to buy a Subaru WRX STI is a car enthusiast, and us car enthusiasts like to modify our cars. But speaking from experience, speaking from working on Hondas, Acuras, Nissans, Infinitis, Toyotas, Mitsubishis, you typically don't have to get your car tuned for a damn intake. It's recommended that WRX STI owners install a new intake. They bring their car to get tuned. You want to make sure that the MAF sensor correlates with that specific intake. It's also recommended that you get a tune for every modification you do to your WRX STI. Hey, install this intake.
But don't forget, get your car tuned.
Hey, you need some windshield wiper fluid?
Don't forget, get your car tuned.
Hey, you need a zip tie to hold your fender liner together?
Don't forget, get your car tuned.
I've never had to do that. I've never had to do that with any other car. Some people say, hey, you spent 20 something grand on an STI. You can't afford a $400 to $600 tune? No, it's not that I can't afford it. It's I don't want to go get my car tuned after I install an intake that barely increases my horsepower. Reason number 3, Subaru's glass transmission. I know this specific problem was more of an issue for the 2002 to 2007 WRX STIs. However, you still see STI owners grenading their transmissions.
Oh, it's your motor that's making that noises. That was your motor, wasn't it? You just blew it off. Put it neutral.
How can you buy a car, drive it normally down the street, and crack second gear? Again, you're paying $20,000, $30,000 for this car. I personally would not get a car that grenades its transmission. So why do owners still want a WRX STI? I mean, I see the appeal. The exhaust sounds great. The interior a bit more updated than the Evos. And hey, you could say you like a challenge. You wouldn't be a real car enthusiast if you didn't want to rebuild this engine. If you didn't want to argue that the over-the-counter, over-the-shelf Cobb Access Port tune is good enough. You would not be a Subaru STI enthusiast if you didn't want to upgrade PPG gears in your transmission. In the next episode, we buy a WRX STI. No, just kidding. Anyways, thank you guys for watching to the end of this video. I hope all of you are staying safe out there. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.